Okay, hi everybody. It's Tara from Sojourn Psychology, and I am here with Dr. Jody Carrington. And Dr. Jody is very well known in Alberta. She does all sorts of things to support our community. She works very closely with teachers and supporting them. And she has a great book out called Kids These Days. But something that Jody and I were just talking about is some of the current trends that we're seeing with the client populations that we're working with, or just people in general in Alberta. So here's Jody.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Talk psychology and wellness and all of those things. Um, I love what you said. There is so much right now that sort of transcends, I think, everything that we are talking about. I mean, we're on the heels of a global pandemic. There's a massive anti-racist movement that is bringing light and emotion to so many things that is, way overdue. There's been a number of things, I think, in terms of separating all of us that have brought out such the basis of most emotion. And so, you and I talked a little bit before this, but before any of this happened, what I would always talk about, and I wrote a little book about it, is the heart of anything that we do as therapists really comes back to this idea of emotional regulation. When you have the ability to stay calm in times of distress, you will do better in this world, period. And when you bring a baby home from the hospital, they have zero skills, very few skills in emotional regulation. They have fight, flight, and freeze on board, but that's it. So when they need something, they cry. They lose their friggin' minds, and big people regulate them. We co-regulate by doing this. If I were to put a crying infant in any one of your, the people who are watching this, at any one of their arms, they would co-regulate with that baby because we're wired for connection. So we would do this. Okay, shh. The more I do that, I co-regulate in the physical presence of another human being, the more they have the capacity to do that when I'm not there. The more often I do that for children, as they grow, they learn those skills and they can do it. So we separate and we go to kindergarten or sleepovers or grade 4, or grade 8, and then fairly soon we're spending a lot more time independently. What increases emotional dysregulation in adults, in people who have skills to regulate emotion, is things like fear and a lack of structure, predictability, routine, trauma histories, developmental injuries, neuroinjuries that will increase emotional dysregulation. And when you think about the time that we're just coming off of, unpredictability, fear, we got no script, we're not sure if there's going to be a second wave, and we are very fearful that we have really, particularly as white people, been so aware in the last few weeks of just how unaware we are. That is all fraught with significant emotion, defensiveness, emotional dysregulation that makes people chippy and
Yes.
heightened and seeking this sort of sense of like, what is going on in my body? So you and I were both saying, during the beginning phases of COVID, I saw a lot of people just shut down, right? Freeze, right? This very primitive response to, and now we're sort of getting into this much more activated state of what is we need help. And I was just saying our referrals have increased exponentially the last couple of weeks. You were saying, yep, like buckle up, here we go. And there's just such uncertainty in the world of mental health and support prior to this, and now there's no structure.
Yeah. I love how you say that, becoming aware of what we have been unaware of. And I appreciate that too, Jody, when you're talking about that freeze, the fight, flight, freeze thing, our shock and our bargaining reaction. And now there is some sense of an awareness. And so we're kind of all coming out of some part of our stages of exception or acceptance. And true to what you've just said too, we have so much uncertainty. So we're just in this steady stream of trauma and unknown,
Yeah.
and we're all starting to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's that comes with a lot of activation, right? And so like, what does this mean? What do I do with this? And what we should seek is people who can put our lids back on, who can be emotional regulators in this space. And so for many of us, I mean, professional therapists might not be available, but it's like really paying attention to who you're surrounding yourself with, who's in your corner, what are you consuming in media, social media, what are you putting in your body, what are you doing physically to get energy regulated, where's your shoulders currently. I mean, when we think about this, a relaxed body and anxiety can't coexist. And when we're talking about hard things, we're primitively wired to prep for the fight. And so it's just even bringing this dual awareness back into our bodies about this isn't happening like to us right now, it's happening for us. It's the heart of all mental health for me, is this capacity. When I know a client or somebody I'm serving has dual awareness, they have the capacity to slip into empathy, to be able to be very aware of what other people and what's going on around them. That's where the healthiest people live. The more ill you become on a spectrum of mental illness, you lose your capacity for dual awareness and you become very internally focused, hyper aroused by your senses, your symptoms, your breathing slow, quickens. You start to worry that everything is happening to you. Even paranoia can kick over. All of those things start to happen. Our eyes drop. The very things that we need to regulate, which is face-to-face connection with another human being, dropping our shoulders, opening our breath, all of those things that co-regulates our body and brings our own prefrontal cortex back on track, is going to be very much of what we do in the therapeutic setting for the next year, 2 years, is really about how do I bring you back into your own body? Okay. Because the specifics about what has happened is not nearly as important to me as how your body keeps the score. That's Bessel van der Kolk's work, of course. The body keeps the score.
Yeah. And that co-regulation is such a powerful thing. I mean, too, what really disorganizes any of us is polarizing opinions, where we have to have a strong opinion one way or the other, or requiring sameness. So we're in this real gray territory, and there's so much difference. I heard somebody say, we want to see the salad of life. This isn't about a melting pot right now. This isn't about everybody kind of figuring out how we get all globbed together again, enmeshed maybe. It's more of like, let's just be here. And that's that listening thing too, I guess. Yeah, so this is beautiful, Jody. So there's all this real impact for you. You're like, it through our bodies. That's how we can cool down our hot brain.
Yeah, I think that's a real thing. And so for me, it's really difficult to do that unless you feel it first. And so, Dan Siegel's work is always on my shoulders, because it's like, you need to name it to tame it. You need to identify. We need to take a hot minute and be like, holy mother, like we were stepping into March, sort of like, hey, 2020, let's rock this. And then it was like, son of a what? And so if we think about how we've, financially, and we've been scared for our physical safety and our emotional safety, and some of us are homeschooling children and losing our companies and, being separated from our parents and our grandparents and our support systems, not sure that they're healthy or well. You can't visit people. You can't go and be at the births of children that you had planned for multiple years. You can't hold your grandbabies. You can't mourn in the traditional sense, when people die. So, I mean, if you just feel that for a second, I mean, that is a lot of what we've just done. And that is that's the necessity to being able to come out the other side, is to hold space for that, because we're very quickly going to want to fix it, right? How about you do this? How about you do this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? The 3 words that always allow me to hold space more than anything is this: tell me more. Tell me more. And especially when I don't want to know more, especially when I want to tell my kids what to do, especially when I had the solution for my husband, when I know if he would just like stop chewing like that. Do you need to blow your nose like you're honking? I don't know that is necessary. Tell me more.
Yeah.
What's going on? What's the hardest part? And I think it's just being able to hold space with, as much grace as we can in the next few months as we kind of figure out our new normal.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Jody. Okay, so I will link Jody's information in the description below. And, like psychologists, all of us people helpers, we are here. So if you need to connect, feel free to use Jody's information or my information. That'll be below. And thank you so much, Jody.
Thanks for having me, Tara.
You're welcome.